The last time an American president embarked on a tour of Asia this long, it ended with George H.W. Bush collapsing during a state banquet, and vomiting on the Japanese Prime Minister. Donald Trump's team will be hoping this goes better. The president himself has been assuring reporters that the 12-day, five-nation trip, which was apparently originally envisaged as two separate visits, will not be a problem for him. Image: the Trumps arrived in Japan amid much pomp and ceremony. Speaking on board Air Force One, en route to Japan, he said, "It's grueling, they tell me, but fortunately that's historically not been a problem for me. One thing people will say, that's not been a problem." He also used the time during the flight to defend his handling of North Korea, claiming there had been 25 years of total weakness, so we are taking a very much different approach. And then he took the opportunity to defend himself. Trump: dictators shouldn't underestimate the Americast about the newly empowered leaders of Japan and China he will be meeting, who have both recently consolidated domestic power. He replied, "Excuse me, so am I. As evidence, Mr. Trump pointed to the U.S. stock market's record high, remarking, "I've always been great with money. I've always been great with jobs." Image: Mr. Trump and Mr. Abe signed Trump-style baseball caps to underline their alliance on the ground in Japan. He has so far cut a more restrained figure. Despite sharing the stage inside an aircraft hangar at Yokota Air Base with a fighter jet, his speech to U.S. troops avoided his usual taunting references to Kim Jong-un as Little Rocket Man. But there can be little doubt who he was referring to when he warned any dictators against underestimating American resolve. Bush presidents joined to slam blowhard Trump, and then he was off, on board Marine One, to a country club for lunch and 9 holes of golf with the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and golf pro Hideki Matsuyama, who has said he will try his best not to lose to Mr. Trump. The course will be one of the venues for the 2020 Olympic Games. Mr. Trump calls Mr. Abe a very good friend, and the Japanese Prime Minister has been quick to present himself as the president's best friend in Asia, traveling to Trump Tower to meet then-President-elect Trump last year, and sharing 16 phone calls during his term in office so far. Over a working lunch of hamburgers and ketchup at the clubhouse, the two friends signed white caps with the slogan, "Donald and Shinzo make alliance even greater. Video suits you." So Trump's new bomber jacket. This may be a slightly corny way of expressing it, but that is what this leg of the trip is all about, signaling the United States' commitment to its alliance with Japan, and these two men's unity on North Korea. From here, the trip will get tougher. Mr. Trump and Mr. Abe do agree on North Korea. The united front on this is real, but the same cannot be said for the leaders of South Korea and China, where the president's tour will take him next. South Korea's President Moon has repeatedly stressed that military action on the Korean peninsula is not an option, and he will never allow another Korean war, while President Trump threatens fire and fury. In Beijing he will meet a newly emboldened Xi Jinping, fresh from a Communist Party Congress that has enshrined his political thought into the party constitution, an honor previously reserved for Mao Zedong. Image: the thorny question of what to do about Kim Jong-un looms large over the trip. Mr. Xi has proclaimed his country is at an historic juncture and moving closer to center stage. Mr. Trump can expect to be greeted with extravagant ceremony, and no shortage of spectacle, but he is likely to find a leader unwilling to compromise on issues of substance. Trump's Asia tour to test his negotiating skills. There are other potential difficulties ahead. Mr. Trump signaled on the flight that he expects to meet his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin during the APEC forum in Vietnam, ostensibly to push him for help with North Korea. But the optics may not help the president trying to leave behind his domestic political troubles and the federal investigation into Russian meddling in the U.S. election. And that's before he gets to Manila to meet Rodrigo Duterte, arguably the world's second most outspoken and unpredictable president. This could be a very long 12 days.